I take it that probably the most important part of Dan's case is that for a legend such as what he claims the Jesus legend to develop, there has to be a kind of a template available for people to make use of. Whether he thinks there actually has to be or not, he thinks there is one. And that's precisely the point that I wish to dispute. There are a number of small points I wish to dispute along the way. The claim that there is nothing outside the New Testament that mentions Jesus in the first century is one that the great majority of historians would not agree with. The great majority of historians think there are two passages in Josephus at the very least, one of which has been doctored by a Christian scribe later in the tradition, but most historians, again, really most, think that Josephus did say something about Jesus in that passage, which a Christian scribe then doctored up. There's a second passage where Josephus mentions Jesus simply in passing, where he identifies him as the brother of James, because he's talking about the death of James in Jerusalem. The fact that he doesn't say anything more seems to me to strongly indicate that earlier he had mentioned Jesus and he's taking it for granted you know what he said there. Unfortunately, we don't have precisely what he said there because, as I said, a Christian scribe doctored it. Nonetheless, there is some evidence. There is some evidence in Tacitus. Not very much, but there is a little bit. As to the claim that Paul never quoted Jesus, this is simply incorrect. Just to take one example, Paul quotes the word of the Lord in 1 Corinthians 7 to talk about rules for divorce. And though he does not precisely quote anything that Jesus said, he quotes highly similar material, which he clearly thinks is something Jesus said on the subject of divorce. Paul, as far as we can see, has never seen a written gospel, but he's heard the stories and he passes them on as words of the Lord. The claim that Paul did not know things about the historical Jesus is simply incorrect. He doesn't say much about him, but he does say things about him like born under the law, born of a woman. In other words, Jewish and born in the normal way, or at least with a woman involved. The claim that the sources of the resurrection cannot be reconciled is one of those claims that's a bit hard to deal with, because I know at least two scholars who think they've done it. One of them is George Eldon Ladd, who wrote a book called, provocatively, I Believe in the Resurrection of Jesus. The other is Gordon Wenham, who wrote a book entitled Easter Enigma. Both of those scholars claim that they have put together a coherent narrative which weaves everything together. The claim that nobody can is therefore a claim that can be objectively tested. I urge Dan to do so. But the template is the crucial thing. Let's go straight to Romulus. Yes, it's absolutely true that Romulus is mentioned in Livy, and I quote Livy 1:3-4. Amulius murders his brother's son and made the daughter Rhea Silva a Vestal virgin. Ha! A virgin mother. Excellent. Under the pretense of honouring her, depriving her of all hope of issue. But the fates had already decreed the origin of this great city and the foundation of the mightiest empire. The Vestal was forcibly violated and gave birth to twins. Not so much a virgin then. You see, we do have an account of an extraordinary birth. But in Livy, it is not a virgin birth. Ditto Augustus. Ditto Plato. Ditto Perseus. In none of them is the claim made that the mother was a virgin. It is regularly claimed that they are, but I've been away and checked, and it's just not there. Ditto Attis. In Pausanias book 7:17, there's the detailed story of Attis' life. Nothing about born of a virgin. Now note please, I'm not claiming this proves that Jesus is in some case unique, and that he must have been born of a virgin. I'm simply saying that the template that Dan has been presenting to you is not in fact accurate. The reason it looks as if Christianity has been cut from the same cloth is actually that the cloth has been cut up to make it look more like Christianity. And it's not. How many of these born of a virgin are also, quote, dying and rising gods? I'm actually not aware of any. The only dying and rising god of any credibility I know of is Osiris, and nothing suggests that he was born of a virgin. The template just isn't there in any one place. Oh, there are scraps and figments, but unless you've already got the idea of the template from Christianity and its history, the template is not at all obvious. The template, I suggest to you, is not a good argument, because the details simply don't work. I only know of one case where the claim is substantiated that the child is born of a virgin, and that's Perseus, but even there's no particular emphasis. It's just mentioned in passing. The template, I'm afraid, is the myth, not Jesus.